Hello everyone, welcome back to our channel. Today's topic is the development of respiratory system. So it is the continuation of the systemic embryology classes. In the channel we have the systemic embryology playlist. Already we have 22 videos of systemic embryology topics. You can go through that. Those who have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe now. Keep watching the videos. The respiratory system begins its development in the fourth week of development. So it is fourth week from the ventral wall of the pharyngeal part of the foregut. So this is the foregut and this is the ventral wall and this is the dorsal wall. From the ventral wall of the pharyngeal part of the foregut. Caudal to the hypobranchial eminence. It develops as a median groove-like evagination. So this is the groove-like. So this is the groove-like evagination called as laryngotracheal groove. So this is called as laryngotracheal groove. As the groove deepens, so this groove deepens. Here also you can observe as the groove deepens, the margins of the groove gradually fuse in the caudocranial direction. So this is the margins of the groove fuse in the caudocranial direction. And this laryngotracheal tube is formed. So this is laryngotracheal tube. This coronally oriented septum, that is the laryngotracheal septum. This it is coronally oriented, extends, this forms cranially extending until it is arrested to form a U-shaped sagittal slit that is called as furcula. So this is the U-shaped slit form known as furcula, through which the cephalic part of the laryngotracheal tube, so this is the cephalic part of the laryngotracheal tube, communicates with the pharynx. So this is the future pharynx. The tube grows caudalwards. This tube is growing caudalwards in the mesenchyme between the developing heart and the esophagus. So here is the developing heart and here is the esophagus. So this pharynx will continue as esophagus. So between the developing heart and the esophagus and bifurcates into right and left lung buds. So this is for the right and left lung buds. The lung buds are developed even before the laryngotracheal groove is separated from the esophagus. The cephalic part of the tube persists as the larynx. So this cephalic part of the tube persists as larynx. The succeeding part forms the trachea, then forms the trachea, then the lung buds. So this succeeding part forms the trachea and each lung bud develops into bronchial tree and the primordium of the lung. And it is invested by the mesenchyme or splanchnic mesoderm, the mucous membrane of the respiratory passages. So if you see the development of respiratory system, mucous membrane is developing from the respiratory passages include up to the lung alveoli is derived from the foregut endoderm. So this is developing from foregut endoderm. Whereas the musculature, cartilages, fibroareolar stroma are formed from the splanchnic mesoderm. So this, if you are asked to write very short notes, you can write these 2 points. Mesenchyme from foregut endoderm were remaining from the splanchnic mesoderm. So we will see again this diagram, same diagram. So this is the laryngotracheal groove like evagination developing from the foregut. So as the groove deepens, septum is formed, coronally oriented septum, so that it is divided into trachea and the esophagus. So now we will see the parts of the respiratory system development. First we will see the larynx. It is developed from the cephalic part of the laryngotracheal tube. Already we have seen it is developing from cephalic part of the laryngotracheal tube, communicates with the pharynx through the furcula. At first, the furcula presents a U-shaped sagittal slit. So we will draw it again. If you see, this is the floor of the developing pharynx. In this U-shaped sagittal slit is formed, that is the furcula. In the floor of the pharynx. It is bounded at the cephalic side end by the hypobranchial eminence. So on the cephalic end, it is bounded by the hypobranchial eminence. So this will come in the development of the tongue. It will develop from the fourth pharyngeal arch. Now, on each side by the mucus fold, which is derived from the sixth arch, in this, a pair of arytenoid swellings develop. So on this side, a pair of arytenoid swellings form. So that convert the furcula into the T-shaped slit. So in the later, this furcula is changing into T-shaped slit. First it is U-shaped, now it is T-shaped. Vertical limb is placed between the two arytenoid swellings. So it is between the two arytenoid swellings. And the horizontal limb lies caudal to the hypobranchial eminence. So this hypobranchial eminence gives rise to a part of the tongue and also the epiglottis. So epiglottis is derived from hypobranchial eminence. Arytenoid swellings give rise to the arytenoid. So this, if you see the arytenoid swelling, upper part and lower part is formed. Upper part forms the arytenoid and lower part forms the corniculate cartilage. And also the upper part forms the arytenoid and corniculate cartilages, and lower part persists as the cricoid cartilage. So this is upper part and this is lower part. Each half of the cricoid later unites to form a complete signet-shaped ring. The cuneiform cartilages are derived from the detached part of the epiglottis. So this gives rise to the cuneiform. This thyroid cartilage will derive from the pharyngeal arches. Thyroid cartilage appears later, derived from the fourth arch. So these are the development of the larynx, development of the cartilages of the larynx, which we have seen. Hypobranchial eminence gives rise to epiglottis and cuneiform. Arytenoid swellings give rise to arytenoid cartilage, corniculate cartilage, and cricoid cartilage. Thyroid cartilage from the fourth pharyngeal arch. This completes the development of the larynx. Now we will see the development of the trachea. Trachea develops from the intermediate part of the laryngotracheal tube. So this is the trachea, intermediate part of the laryngotracheal tube, and elongates further as the tracheoesophageal septum extends in the caudocranial direction. At first, at birth, the tracheal bifurcation, so this is the tracheal bifurcation, lies at the level of the lower border of fourth thoracic vertebra. Cartilaginous rings of the trachea are probably derived from the sixth arch mesoderm. So you should know the pharyngeal arches, which will be the main development of the head and neck. So we have the pharyngeal apparatus in our channel. You can go through that. Then you will be understanding the arches and its contributions. So this completes the development of the trachea. Now we will see the development of the lung buds. Development of the lung buds in this diagram you can understand. Each lung bud, so this is one lung bud and this is another lung bud, projects laterally into the pleural coelom. So this is the pleural coelom. So it is projecting laterally into the pleural coelom, caudal to the common cardinal vein. The splanchno-pleuric layer of the coelom invests each bud, and so this is the splanchno-pleuric layer of the coelom, invests each bud and forms the pulmonary pleura. The bronchial tree subdivides within the lung bud and initially terminates as numerous ampullated blind ends known as infundibula. So they are called in the blind ends called as infundibula. The right principal bronchus, if you see, it divides into three principal bronchus, three secondary bronchus, and around that the lobes of the lungs are differentiated. In the left lung, it gives rise to two secondary bronchus. This ramification of the bronchial tree passes through three stages of lung development: pseudoglandular stage, canalicular stage, and alveolar stage. These are the three stages of lung development. The pseudoglandular stage extends from 7 to 17 weeks of development. When the lung resembles a tubulo-acinar gland, the growth and the branching of this endodermal epithelium is controlled by the local investing splanchno-pleuric mesenchyme. The airways are lined by high columnar epithelium. Mucus glands develop by the 12th week. The mesenchymal cells around the epithelium differentiates into smooth muscle, cartilages, and other connective tissue cells. Now the canalicular stage, this stage extends from 17 to 26 weeks and is characterized by about 3 generations of branching. The peripheral growth is accompanied by an increase of capillary network in close contact with the distal air spaces, which are the primordium of the lung alveoli. The cuboidal epithelium begins to differentiate as simple squamous type 1 pneumocytes, and those remain cuboidal will form the type 2 pneumocytes, which act as the stem cells of alveolar epithelium. And this type 2 cells store surfactant from 6 months of gestation. Now alveolar stage extends from 26 weeks to birth and continues into childhood up to about 8 years of age. During this phase, the lining epithelium of most of the alveolar sacs is changed from cuboidal to type 1 cells. Some of the alveolar cells possess abundant cytoplasm and secrete the surfactant fluid, which is phospholipid rich, which lowers the surface tension and provides the mechanism of preventing the collapse of the alveoli during expiration. So this appearance of the surfactant fluid ensures the maturity of the lung development. So from this phase onwards, the fetus, if delivered, may survive independently in the external environment. Hence, the seventh month is considered as the viable age of the fetus. Seventh month of the fetus is the viable age of the fetus. In fetal life, the amniotic fluid may be aspirated within the alveoli due to the infrequent respiratory movements. The fluid filling the alveoli contains high chloride concentration and some mucus from the bronchial glands. During the first 3 days after birth, all the alveoli are inflated with air and the fluid is reabsorbed by the blood and the lymph capillaries. If you see the subdivisions of bronchial tree, up to 17 to 18 generations are found at birth. Even after birth, 3 to more generations of new alveoli sprout from the terminal respiratory passages. In the newborn, if you count the number of alveoli in both lungs, it is about 20 million. During first 10 years of postnatal life, the adult number of about 300 million alveoli are reached. The sharp demarcation between bronchial epithelium and alveolar epithelium throughout the development seem to suggest that bronchial and the respiratory systems originate from the different portion of the primordial respiratory diverticulum. Lung fibroblasts of the surrounding connective tissue stimulate proliferation and promote differentiation of the lung epithelium. From the late canalicular stage, the lung fibroblasts secrete an fibroblast pneumocite factor, which stimulates the type 2 pneumocytes in the developing alveolar cells to produce the surfactant. This cortisol injection given to the preterm babies delivered prematurely binds to specific receptors in the lung mesenchyme and causes this release of this fibroblast pneumocyte factor to accelerate the lung maturity. So if you want to deliver the babies by 7th month, the obstetricians will give the injections cortisol to the pregnant mothers so that it will reach the fetus and stimulate the release of the fibroblast pneumocyte factor. Androgens have been found to delay fetal lung maturation through the delayed maturation of the lung fibroblast. So this completes the development of the respiratory system. One more interesting factor in this is developmental link between the lungs and kidneys. So the fetal lungs and fetal kidneys. There is a developmental link. Urine liberated from the fetal kidneys maintains the volume of the amniotic fluid, which is necessary for normal fetal lung development. In renal agenesis, bronchial branching is reduced, resulting in pulmonary hypoplasia. This suggests any direct renal factor which is essential for lung development. So one interesting syndrome we have Potter's syndrome. Potter's syndrome, where pulmonary hypoplasia is often associated with severe congenital urinary obstruction. So we have the link between the fetal lung development and the fetal kidneys development. With this, we will summarize the development of the respiratory system. Respiratory system develops from the foregut. A laryngotracheal groove is formed. so that laryngotracheal tube is formed. Proximal part gives rise to the larynx, intermediate part gives rise to the trachea, and the distal part gives rise to the lung primordium. Lung buds development, before that we will complete this. Larynx cartilages, hypobranchial eminence gives rise to epiglottis. Arytenoid swellings give rise to arytenoid cartilage, cricoid cartilage, and also the cuneiform and also the corniculate cartilage. Cuneiform cartilages are derived from the epiglottis. Thyroid cartilage develops from the fourth arch. Lung buds, three stages are there: pseudoglandular, canalicular, and alveolar. So this alveolar stage extends even after birth, so that to reach the 300 million alveoli. In the last, we have learned the fibroblast pneumocyte factor, which will be induced by the cortisol. And we have known now that there is a developmental link between the fetal lungs and the fetal kidneys. There is a Porter syndrome where that is pulmonary hypoplasia is often associated with severe congenital urinary obstruction. So this completes the development of the respiratory system. We have in our channel the systemic embryology playlist, which contains many topics in the systemic embryology. Those who have not subscribed to our channel, do subscribe now. With the next topic in histology or embryology, we will see in the next video. Thank you.